Hey everyone, it's Michael here. I'm basically talking to you right now because I need to shave my beard and do a bit of a face mask thing. So I thought I would do that and we can have a conversation. So excuse the way the camera is. I'm just basically trying to sort this all out. Okay. What I'm doing right now is I'm shaving down the beard because it needs to be down the stubble again. And I thought we could have a little bit of a conversation while I'm doing this, because it needs to be done. And it needs to be done appropriately, because if it doesn't get done properly, it's gonna look really bad. So as you can see, smooth as smooth could be with stubble, because I'm just shaving it down to stubble. The reason why I'm doing that is because it makes it a lot more simpler. If I want to shave it, I can. If I want to keep stubble, I can. And this razor's pretty good. It's cheap as well. It's like a USB razor that I got off Pinduoduo. I don't think it's said as that in China. It shaves really close. And it's really good in comparison. Now I need to get the front off. It's fully charged, by the way, and you can hear it. I'm just taking off all the facial hair, because it needs to be even. Otherwise, it's not going to work properly. But I thought we could, while I'm doing this, we can have a conversation, because I've been watching what's been going on in the United States and basically over the world. Like, one of the reasons I left the UK, people don't know, is because I saw how things were going, like with the current regime in power, who are a bunch of nutcases. Like, people don't get, right, that they think, oh, Trump's really bad and everything like that. They don't understand that Boris is just as bad. He is just as racist. He's just as tyrannical, in a sense. But Boris is a career politician. Trump is not. So Boris knows how to choose his words and figures out ways to spin things where Trump can spin a fucking spoon. And I know a lot of people are going to get really pissed with me in a bit about this and say, oh, you know, yeah, I know, sir. Trump's not that bad and blah, blah. You should understand the conspiracy theories. Look, I understand some conspiracy theories, like the whole 9/11 was an inside job thing, and that the world, you know, has this like Illuminati and all that stuff. I can see them, but let's be real for a second. When everyone on the planet is telling you, including Mike Pence, has seceded an election, but a man-child who doesn't want to lose, right, thinks it's okay to call his followers and say, hey, why don't you commit terroristic threats on behalf of me? Because that's literally what he did. And I'd say, well, you know, he didn't do that, you know, you don't listen and blah, blah, blah. And listen, I've heard half the shit that he spouted. And it's very much similar to what Hitler did. People don't get it. People are basically doing every evil thing that this guy has said because they believe every word he says. And people are like, you know, I have friends saying, well, you know, it's not really their fault. They just believe everything he says and blah, blah, blah. You're adults. You should accept responsibility for everything you do. And people are like, well, I don't want to be tarred in the same brush as these people and these people. Imagine spending your whole life being called Saddam Hussein. Being told that the colour of your skin is the reason why you can't get into a country. How you get stopped and searched all the time because you look suspicious. Or being shot by someone because they think you're a threat. There's two disturbing facts that happened recently. One, the police allowed these, and let's call a spade, shall we? Terrorists, because they are terrorists. And they'd say, well, they're not terrorists because they're not brown. Well, let's make that comparison, actually. So, say, for instance, you have an imam making terroristic threats against people, saying people need to be blown up and blah, blah, blah. And the US and everyone else catches wind of it and call them a terrorist, because that's what they are. They're a terrorist, you know. Osama bin Laden was a terrorist. He was saying nasty things about infidels and all this crap. And by the way, before anyone goes on about my people, I'm an atheist. So, don't know why I should really be telling you that. Just waiting for the comments to flood in. People calling me names because I'm stating the obvious. So yeah, let's see. Trump is going around telling people to do things in his name, right? Check. People had a cult-like mentality towards what he was saying. Check. People went and got themselves killed over the things he said. Just flushing hair down the toilet because I don't want to block the sink. And again, check. People did some very nasty and shitty things in his name. Check. Granted, no one blew themselves up yet, but things were done that shouldn't have been done. So these people are, in all rights and purposes, terrorists. And Trump basically got these people to come into one place. He organized them, he set them off, and he basically put them out to do their thing. Now, I want to say the whole, oh, but, you know, Twitter and Facebook have suspended his accounts indefinitely. No, they haven't. They say indefinitely, as in 2 weeks. If he behaves himself, then they'll reactivate those accounts. So, they haven't suspended him indefinitely. So, don't come at me with that trope. Okay, so anyway. He basically preaches with his crowd of fans and well-doers and whatever, his patriots, to go and do nasty things in his name. So check. He's abused others and is responsible for deaths. Check. So why are we trying to make out this dude not terrorist? He's a terrorist. It sucks. A lot of people look up to him. But here's the thing, right? I want to tell you a little story about an actor I looked up to. There was this actor who was someone I looked up to, Kevin Spacey. News got out that he basically molested a young man at one of his parties. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, his mum and dad shouldn't have allowed him at the age of 13 to go to Kevin Spacey's party. Granted, I agree, right? So it's partially the parents' fault as well as Spacey's. But it doesn't stop Spacey doing what he does it? Then Spacey, to try and save himself, went out. So I just need to get some of those loose hairs. He went out of his way to, don't want a unibrow, basically try and court this young man. Now, granted, he said he was drunk and he didn't deny what he did. He molested this young boy. Granted, nothing happened per se because this little man objected to it and ran out of that place. This man grew up tormented and became a rather tormented young adult who is now working on Star Trek Discovery. I can't remember his name. You have to forgive me. I have a bit of a sleep brain going on at the moment because I'm working very, very hard and I've trying my utter best to get things done. And it helps one of the reasons. I'll go into that in a little bit about why content is not being as made as fast as it should be. But yeah, so this young man was in turn molested, sexually assaulted, I think would be the word, by Kevin Spacey. Spacey then, when news got out about it, and he, you know, this young, brave young soul went out into the world and said, hey, this happened, told his story, didn't want to live in fear anymore. Spacey never denied it. He just said the words, I was drunk. Then decided to say, oh, by the way, I'm gay, I'm not bisexual gay. And by the way, I am pansexual, so anyone say I'm gay hating, I'm really not, because I don't hate anyone, to be honest, regardless of your colour. I do hate people depending on values, and I've had a lot of friends that I had to remove from my life due to their undying loyalty to a big orange arsehole who is basically Hitler. So yeah. Oh, and just because I live in China, don't try and at me like, oh, you're living in China, so that's not really your business. So yeah, I saw this incident. Kevin Spacey never denied it. He actually admitted that he did it, and says, and again, use the excuse of, I was drunk, you know, and I wasn't responsible for my actions. And did what he did. Said what he said, tried to hide. Gay community lashed out and said, yeah, no. You're not hiding with us, mate. You know, you can't hide under the fucking rainbow for your actions because people are already associating us with pedophiles, which they are. Mostly the trans community now, which I think is bollocks. But they're associating us because people don't know how to read articles and use common sense and good judgment. They just get scared of things they don't understand and go, well, that's scary to me. I don't understand it. So obviously it must be wrong and everyone must be evil. So let's go and fuck that up. So yeah, the Yeehole Qaeda, as most people like to call them, is the best freaking thing that the internet's ever coined. Yeah, one's a bit blunt, so I'm trying another razor. So yeah, they storm a building. But yeah, with the Kevin Spacey issue, I believe the facts. You know, same with the Bill Cosby thing. I used to watch Bill Cosby like everyone else. Huge fan of Bill Cosby. Do I watch his shit now? Nope. Hell, I even watched this crappy Paramount show, Cosby, when that tried to reunite him and the lady who played his wife in a TV show, which never kicked off. But yeah, that happened. Then basically I then refuse to watch anything Kevin Spacey's ever made. Don't acknowledge the guy, because he got away with it. Like most sexual predators do. And before people are like, well, that's the entirety of Hollywood who are sexual predators. No, not the entirety of Hollywood. There are a few bad eggs and everything. Like, I don't compare every fucking businessman to Trump. But that's the thing. People have this undying loyalty. Like, a lot of people have an undying loyalty to Spacey. And like, well, I'll still watch his movie and I'm still a fan. You know, he made a mistake. No. Throwing yourself at a young man who you know is 13 years of age, that's not a mistake. There's something mentally fucked up wrong with you, you know? We've all made mistakes. Like, I beat myself up over all my mistakes that I've made. But I've never made a mistake like that. I have 4 kids. I know that they are children. I love my kids. I would die for them, and I would kill anyone. Metaphorically. Who would ever lay a hand on my children? I would go to prison for my kids, because my kids are my precious little people. When someone harms a child, you're taking away someone's life. You might as well have killed them, because you're taking away someone's life. Someone has to deal with that pain for the rest of their fucking life, because someone wants to indulge in the, I wouldn't even call it the taboo, the disgusting, because it is fucking disgusting, you know, and all this MAPS bollocks. These people should be ashamed of themselves. And if you're someone who has an attraction to children, you should, and say, well, I haven't done anything. Well, you should get yourself castrated, because I'm sorry, time will come where you give in to those urges, and that shouldn't happen. But anyway, I digress. So he gets away with this, just like a number of fucking proven pedophiles have done, just like Prince Philip has done, and just like many others in the same vein have done. They've gone away with it because they are rich. And this is the problem, right? And the same problem goes with Trump and people who support him. People who support Trump are under 2 camps, right? You have the die-hard loyalists who fucking treat him like he's their fucking king, who are fucking morons to begin with. I call them the Trump tards, right? Because that's what they are. Just like they call people libertards. Well, the Trump tards. Actually, you know, that's a really bad name. Let's call them the Trumpettes, because they're a bunch of freaking idiots. Anyway, they would live and die for Donald, and they do very nasty things in his name. They ruin people's offices, they cost taxpayers money, and these are the same people who think that people need to be drug tested before they get a benefits check, right? These are people who don't understand facts and figures. These are people who just believe the gospel of the Trump. And a lot of these people are, some of these people are Christians as well, and they're basically worshipping a false prophet, but there you go. It's gotten so bad that the people surrounding Trump, including Vice President Mike Pence, have disowned him and disowned his nasty ass ways. Here's the thing that people don't like to understand. Trump was the one who caused his own loss, right? He caused all this shit to happen to himself because he got arrogant. He started spouting crap. So every person who decided not to vote by mail, they were Trump supporters. Because he told them not to. So he lost that part of the vote. And Biden, miraculously, every person with freaking common sense voted Biden in. And it wasn't because Biden was the best choice. It was because Biden was the only choice. He was the only option. And this is the fucking problem. You've got a 2-party system. Neither party is amazing, to be honest. You've got the Democrats pretending to be liberals, You've only got a few actual liberals in their midst. But until the wealthy, and I'm not saying the wealthy as in actors, as in musicians, as in people, it's the greedy wealthy. You know, the ones who put their money in offshore accounts so they don't have to pay tax, who don't want to contribute to the society that they're living in, who want to buy new properties and donate to false charities, do nothing. And before people start, I lived on the streets. You know that I did for the last, it was nearly about 10 years. I was living homeless before I made my decision to leave and start a new life somewhere else. And I get it. I get what it feels like to be hopeless. I get when someone gives you a golden ticket, per se, with their fucking amazing, good, honest to God, smooth tongue, telling you, yeah, we'll help you. We'll do everything we can for you because we believe in you, when they actually don't. And they're just saying what they're saying to basically get you on side. I get that. I've been there. I've worked with tons of people who've been like, I've got a film company and I'll make this movie and you'll be my star and all this and that bullshit. I freaking had an agent who told me the same thing, that she's going to make me the biggest thing ever. And then when I say something she doesn't agree with, she got her minions, her cult of minions, to come after me and say nasty things about me to other people and try to get my career cancelled, because that's what these people do. This is what these bullies and egomaniacs do. And people, I know, friends of mine who follow him are like, oh, my free speech has been hindered because I like Trump and I support Trump. No, your free speech has been hindered because you're sitting by and you're watching all this shit happen. And instead of denouncing your fucking golden goose, you sit there and you make excuses for him and you make excuses for everyone like him. Because, as I said, two camps. You've got the cults and you've got the people who want to be rich and want these laws in place so they can take advantage of these laws and stop paying tax. And that's the sad fucking thing, right? You don't want to spread your... If you ever became rich, you want to make sure you do the exact same thing that that other rich guy is doing. You have learned nothing. We've learned nothing from history. That's the problem. So I needed to get this and this to scrub my head down so I can make sure that I am nice and clean. But we've learned nothing from history. And I don't know if we're going to live in a golden era. I doubt it, because I think within the next 4 years it's going to be just the Democrats cleaning up Trump's mess. The shit he tried to do he basically tried to get everybody else to pay his way. He is like that bum cousin or bum relative who comes into your house, doesn't offer to help or anything, comes to stay with you, and basically says, oh, I'm going through rough times at the moment, but is not actually going through rough times. It's just skimming from you, you know? Hey, shush. Sorry, too many dogs in the house at the moment. So they're playing and they're going a bit rough on each other. I'm gonna have a word, I think. But yeah, he's like that bum relative comes in and says, oh, you know, I'm falling on hard times. Doesn't want to get a job, doesn't want to do anything, just wants to live and sponge off you for the rest of their life, right? And that's what he's doing. He sits there and he condemns people on welfare when Trump Daddy is on welfare himself. He's living off the taxpayer. His friends who all supported him, the other freaking conservatives who should have been condemning his shit, who are now, a lot of them are, because they're turning on him, because they see what's happening, and they see that he's trying to usurp the government, which is freaking insane, right? And no one is condemning him. And you and your friends and your family, the people who support this guy, are basically making this into a situation where you are fucking yourself over. That's simple as. It's not a good thing. You are hurting those around you, your friends, your family, people who love you, because you want a complete stranger who doesn't give a shit about you. And this is the thing. He didn't when he basically called the coronavirus a bunch of BS and said that, you know, it's a falsehood and it's fake and all this shit, and wants people to inject themselves with bleach in order to satisfy some sick need. And this is what this whole thing's about. Ego. He doesn't want us to see the election because he doesn't believe that he lost. He truly believes that he won, right? That it's all Biden's fault and it's all your fault, you libtard. It's all your fault. It's your fault that he is not, it's everyone else's fault, you know? It's like the sketch in The Simpsons where Skinner goes, am I out of touch? No, it's the children's who are at fault. That's literally what it is right now. He blames everybody else. He doesn't take responsibility. And people are on his fucking jock and going, yeah, Trump's been fucked and, you know, he's a man of the people. He's not a fucking man. He don't give a shit about you. Like, seriously, Trump gives a fucking shit about you. Like, really? You don't care. He doesn't care about you, your friends, or your family. By the way, this is the Mask of Magnanimity from Lush. I can get it here in China, which is great. There was a Lush in Hong Kong. I think there's one in Shanghai too. So I'm going to go and get another one of it. Well, it's nearly time because I'm at my last. And that's the thing. I don't understand people who defend those who don't give a shit about you. Kevin Spacey does not give a fuck about me or people like me. Donald Trump does not give a shit about me or people like me. Predators, pedophiles, and terrorists, they don't give a shit about you. You're a tool that they can use to extend their agenda so they can get their way. Every fucker that gave their life for Donald Trump, he doesn't care about them. Do you think he's going to bail you out of prison? You think he's going to give you a pardon? No, he's going to let you rot. Why? Here's why. Do my Simon Miller impression. Trump only cares about one person. Donald Trump. And I used to be a fan, don't get me wrong. I used to watch The Apprentice. I used to think how cool he was. I watched him kick Vince McMahon's ass on WWE television. But after this, after his time in office, I've really soured on the guy. He kept saying he was going to drain the swamp. He hired people who had no business in positions that they were in because they were his rich friends and donors. That's not how a president should be running their position. You put an education secretary in a job for being able to understand and produce funding and have a better understanding of education. They should be experienced in the job. You put people in positions like the FDA who should have understanding of what they're doing. Your head of military should be a military person, someone who understands not only the concept of what the military is, but understand budgets and make sure that money is going in the right direction. He didn't drain the swamp, he made it toxic. And yes, the system was already toxic. Yes, it was already in a bad position. Obama didn't leave things in a great way. He fixed a broken car. Well, he bandaged a broken car up. He made sure it ran for another 300 miles. Then a guy came in and totally dismantled that car. That car went off a cliff. That car fell down the cliff. That car broke apart, set itself on fire, destroyed itself, blew itself up, probably killed a few people on the way. And there's no forgiving that. And just as people are going to feel bad and want to distance themselves from Nazism, you have Americans right now, and as I said, Brits too, who look at this individual as he's the second coming of Christ. And people are like, wake up America, you sheep, and wake up sheeple and all that shit. I think the common sense is not all that common. Seeing in a direction where people are going and seeing where the blame is being placed on people like immigrants, being placed on little children who have been now scarred for life to the point where a lot of these kids are either going to be victims of rape because it's happened in these camps, or they're just going to be fucking freaked out to the point where they're going to grow up to be very, very scared adults who are going to need a lot of fucking counseling. And that's on your head. Everyone who voted for him, everyone who still makes excuses for him. And this is like an abusive relationship where you make an excuse for a spouse who keeps beating you up and you sit there and go, well, he knocked my teeth out, but I love him. You know, he's a stud muffin and all that shit. So now I'm going to upload this video, and now I'm going to sit there and listen to all the hate comments, read all the hate comments and all the bullshit and people talking, calling me, call me queer, fag, and, terrorist and all this shit. You're going to mock where I live currently. I know I'm very entitled where I live. I know I'm in a position where I'm between a rock and a hard place where I am. I try and do as much good as I possibly can. But I see a mass murdering psychopath when I see one. I know one. And he had a hairpiece, a fake-ass wife, and he gave all his kids a bunch of jobs who are underqualified and know what the fuck they were doing. And all I see is a bunch of people who should know better making excuses. I'm goddamn ashamed of everybody, friends or no friends, who allowed this behavior to continue. And it's a shame. And you'll be, oh, you're putting your nose up on us. Yeah, I kind of am. But I'm ashamed of both sides, don't get me wrong. The left and the right. Because even when the Democrats who say that they're left get in power, unless things drastically change, unless we see less homeless people on the street, unless we see all these kids in cages get reunited with their families, unless we see the American recession put into a position where people are basically getting free healthcare and being given the opportunities that they need to survive and get back up. Because if you're in life, in these Western societies, in any society, being poor and being broke, right, means that you're forever going to be poor and be broke, unless you're one of these guys who managed to make a killing putting something together like Facebook or Apple. That's a rarity. I'm doing all I can to get myself out of poverty because I don't want to be living on the street anymore. But don't justify an egomaniacal maniac. Don't justify what happened yesterday, because it's not justifiable. And I'm sorry for the long ass rant, but yeah, me done. I'm gonna scrub this off later on. So have a great day. See you soon. And hopefully I'm gonna be posting a lot more videos soon. on the tech stuff. I'm going to stay away from politics after this. Just had to say what I had to say because it's my channel and who gives a crap if people get upset. Bye.